Welcome into the Common Dad podcast as Andrew, of course, tries to interrupt. Welcome to season 3 of the Common Dad. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Justin, your horrible host, and I am, of course, joined by my slightly drunk co-host. Andrew, how are you doing on this wonderful evening? Allegedly.
This is the first alleged drink of the night.
Sure. You took the family out to dinner tonight? Yes?
Oh, we did go out. How did you? Yes, we did.
How did I know?
Of the
because
out.
Despite what other people think, we actually talk outside of this little half hour from time to time.
Well, no, it wasn't anything fancy. We just didn't feel like cooking and Friday night, and just thought and have somebody else cook for us. It wasn't anything fancy. Just went to the old Outback
Steakhouse. I had Outback with your parents 2 nights ago.
Oh, look at that.
We ordered in.
It's
had
a small world.
Let me tell you, that bloomin' onion will attack your insides
now,
like there is no tomorrow.
How's the bloomin' onion to go though? Because I feel like when you get it in the store, it's crispy, it's hot, it's steaming, but I feel like it would be really soggy, like just bleh,
yeah. So
it's
very soggy. It's just as good though. Like, it tastes just as good. And it's a little, I'm not going to say it's better because it's not better. But with the sogginess, it's a little easier to grab and pull. And, sometimes when it's real crispy, you just rip off the crispiness. And
the problem is?
Then you got the onion, and then you got to go back in for the onion. It's a little messier.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. I'm just saying.
So, they actually have a new appetizer.
Oh, yes?
Well, I don't know how new it is because I don't really go to Outback.
Is that appetizer in Australian?
Choose your poison.
It's
the bloomin' onion crust, the fried part, but it's on shrimp, and then you get the sauce. So it's bloomin' shrimp.
Yeah.
It's the exact same, but instead of onion, it's shrimp, and it's good.
I bet
and
that's incredible.
You don't have to pick it apart or anything. Yeah. You don't have to you're not trying to break it apart or anything. It's just little pieces of like fried shrimp and then a giant dish of that bloomin' sauce.
Yeah.
And Outback, we're waiting for you to call us for a sponsorship.
No kidding. Okay. So first of all, I didn't even, so many beautiful thoughts going through my head. We got to just get that recipe, and then that's how I fry things from now on.
Just that
in
powder,
that crust.
Or that crust.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that sounds incredible. But yeah, no, the bloomin' onion was fine. It was a little soggy, but no issues there. And again, ordering out, I knew it was going to be soggy, so I just got like a pasta dish, already soggy. Just come soggy, so it was fine. No worries there. Speaking of soggy, I spent the last 3 days bailing water out of my basement. My feet are actually a little damp right now.
Did you make the repair yourself?
No.
Then it doesn't count.
It's the beauty of renting. Actually, no repair has been made. No repair has been
really?
made.
I thought you were going to have somebody come by and take a look at it.
That's exactly what they did. They looked at it and they said, "Yep, it's leaking." And then they left. And I said, "Thank you. Confirmed leak."
Now, speaking of soggy,
yes.
My toilet tank actually
speaking of bloomin' onions,
the bolts that attach the tank, it's the one toilet in my house that I haven't touched yet since moving in. And see, we're not renters, unlike some people on this podcast. So
sure.
When stuff breaks, it's not just like I call somebody and they come and look at it.
Yes.
So oddly enough, the one toilet that I haven't touched in our house, we have 3 bathrooms, the bolts that attach the tank to the bowl, the top part to the bottom part, rusted completely out.
Oh.
And water started dripping from the tank because now there's nothing securing the two together, creating a pressure seal with the gaskets and whatnot. So water started dripping out.
Water?
Well, it's the tank water, so technically it's the water that runs through our entire house. It's faucet water.
Pre-poo water.
It's faucet water into a toilet tank and then dripping down a rusty bolt that is no longer attached onto the floor behind. Oh. And so actually after dinner, we had picked up the parts earlier today. I took the entire toilet apart, put new bolts in it. I did the filler valve too while I was at it. I did the filler valve and the bolts. And as I put everything together, I realized I didn't get a new, I don't know the official term. Somebody will correct me. The valve that actually flushes the water that when you hit the flipper.
That's important.
Pulls up.
Yeah.
It pulls up the
plunger.
Plunger.
Yeah.
And releases the water. I didn't get a new one of those, and the old one. Well, look.
How are you flushing it right now?
The old one is still there.
Oh, okay.
Look, the bolts rusted out. I chose to change the filler valve because it was really old and hadn't been touched. I figured while I'm in there, while the tank is empty, let me go ahead and change this out too. But as I put everything together and turn the water on and hear it fill up, I can hear the water leaking through that little plunger valve. And it's like, well, crap.
Crap.
What I get.
Crap indeed.
Crap indeed. So I had a moist afternoon as well.
Boy.
Maybe not quite a flooded basement, but I had to actually take care of it myself.
Yeah, you had to do it. I mean, I had to. So I can't remember if I told you this the other night, but I found where the leak was coming through in the wall. So I don't have like a shot vac. It's called I think it's called a bucket head, where it's essentially
it just attaches to the bucket.
The vacuum on top of the bucket. And I found the leak, and I put it on the wall, and it was about every 10 minutes this thing would fill up. And I did that for a long time. And with my horrible, horrible math, it came out to roughly about 175 gallons that I pumped out of my wall and that was on my floor. Roughly.
You didn't pump it out of the wall. I text you. That's what I would have done. I would have gone and gotten a little water pump, put part of it in the bottom of that bucket, and ran a garden hose out the door or down the driveway or something, and.
But you're smarter than I am.
Just let it pump all the way out. Well, I have over 10 years now that I've owned this house. And
true. You sort
being
things out.
that, you start to develop these natural instincts of like when a problem arises, you just go into fix-it mode.
Ugh.
It's not really an option to just call anybody. So like you start to develop, okay, how am I going to fix this? You immediately, as soon as there's a problem. I remember a year ago, I walked into the garage and the entire garage was flooded. And sure enough, the bottom of our water heater had given out. And that afternoon, I was at Home Depot buying a water heater. And that evening, I was ripping the old one out and putting a new one in. You know, it wasn't an option to sit there and wait and call somebody. It was, let me start YouTubing things.
And figure it out.
So I heard this quote somewhere, and obviously we need to get to the actual podcast here. But I actually really like the quote, and that is everything is figure-outable.
Everything is figure-outable. That feels like a Sesame Street quote, which isn't a bad thing.
It was not. I think it was a YouTube thing. But
figure-outable. I agree, especially
everything
now
is figure-outable.
With the internet, everything is very figure-outable.
You know, I've seen, you know, some of the people that you would never think could change a car tire, could build a cabinet, and they're YouTubing things and they figure it out and they do it. So everything can be figured out just from the power of the internet. Most of us have a phone that we can do that on in the palm of our hand. You would be surprised the amount of things I've figured out on my car, in my house, etc. You can do it.
My first step is I still call my dad. Still.
It's not a bad one.
It usually works out pretty well.
You are a dad now, though, so you got to start learning. And you're looking to buy a house, so time to start. That's
a whole
going to go out
podcast
a weekend.
When I buy a house. I think the podcast is just going to turn into me asking questions, and the audience is now going to have. The audience will need to support my family, not in a financial way, although if you want to, please do, but just in a very, hey, I don't know how to do this way. Help. But
please help.
Just help. We're going to change it from the common dad to just help me. Just help. And we're going to go live because it's just going to be me trying to fix things all across my house. Because my wife wants to buy an old house with character.
Oh.
So
Tell her she can fix the toilet when it
that's fun.
breaks.
Yeah, character costs a lot of money, honey. It's all right, guys. She doesn't listen to the podcast anyway. Let's take a quick break to talk about something that we have been working on for a long time, something we're super proud to announce. It is our brand new sports show called Almost Athletic. It is 100% live on Facebook, so if you're a big sports fan, make sure you hop on 9:30 every Saturday morning. We will be there. Now, the best part about this show is that it is live. It is made for you to jump in the comments, so if you've got something that, is recent sports news you want to talk about, if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, whatever it is, jump in the comments. We will talk about it. This show is 100% live. This show is for you guys. So we will see you Saturday morning, 9:30 on Facebook. Thank you guys so much for listening. Back to the show. Anyway, let's get to what actually matters for this particular.
Oh, we have a topic?
We have a topic. We have an actual topic. And it's pretty relevant for especially this time of year. We are talking about parental burnout. I think we did an episode season 1 about just burnout in general, and I think we kind of talked about, I think it was more around work, wasn't it? I don't know. I don't listen to this show.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
But we kind of touched on that and what that looks like and how to fight against that. But there's another kind of burnout that's very real if you're a parent, especially if you're a single parent. God bless you. I don't know how you do it. So there's just a couple kind of tips on here to go through to see how to avoid it. But what do you have? I'm curious because, again, you guys homeschool, and that's it's becoming a more normal thing, especially after COVID. But so, obviously you're spending a lot more times with your kids than the average person.
Well, I have to give credit to my wife because she does the homeschooling, and I still work a full-time job. I do a lot more since the pandemic. I do a lot more from home. They've opened that up. They've realized they can actually get a lot more out of us when they allow us to work a free schedule.
What do you know? Yeah.
Requiring us to be in the building, and then I only work when I'm in the building.
Right.
So I do work from home, but a lot of times I am on the phone. I am engaged in emails and conversations with clients. I have a extra room in our house that I've kind of turned into an office. This is actually where I work all day. And so credit to my wife. She deals with all of that. And, I probably wouldn't have the patience to deal with that. So kudos to her. I do have a quick story that in my mind kind of attributes to parental burnout. Mm-hmm. We spent, as most probably do, an unbelievable amount of time, effort, and money preparing what we believed to be a very, very nice Christmas for our kids. Our tree was very full. Everything was lovely. Everything was merry. We had a plate of cookies put out. The cookies were gone. I can neither confirm nor deny that Santa took them. We had a great Christmas. Very blessed. Lots of things to be thankful for. Our toys came home, or our kids came home with truckloads of toys. Mm-hmm. Truckloads of toys. To the point where we probably threw out as many toys. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And what do my kids ask for the day after Christmas? Can we go to Five Below and get more toys?
Mm-hmm. It's a real problem.
I'm sorry. You haven't even finished opening the ones at home. And we're going... You want to... You got brand new toys that are like name brand toys from every name brand store out there, but you want to go to Five Below and buy cheap toys. Why? Well, I behaved really good today. So you behaved and now you get more toys? And what does my lovely, beautiful, absolutely charming, wonderful, caring, patient wife say? Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had to exercise some patience that evening.
Did we go to Five Below? Did we get some things?
We did. She made a promise to them. I wasn't going to be the one to make her look like the bad guy. Or I mean, she made a promise to them that we would do it, so we went and did it. I made her very aware of my disapproval of said decision. I did not go easy on her, but boy, that burned me out of. I mean, the amount of time and effort that we put into Christmas, and then you're going to turn around. Who gives a crap about all of that at home that we haven't even opened? I want Five Below.
It makes you want to, and this is not really part of the discussion, but it makes you want to, all right, we're going to get all these toys, and then you're going to open one. We're going to go Hanukkah style. You're going to open one of these every day. I think the Jews got it right, man. I think giving them all at the same time is just.
I'm sorry.
It's just not the.
Wow.
It's just not the way to do it. That's right. Cut that up. Use that. Tell me I'm wrong with the kids. It's just smarter.
I'm thinking I'm going to find any toys that are not opened yet, and I'm going to find if they're, Target toys. I'm going to go return them for Target credit and buy something for myself with their toys.
That's a good idea. Like a new car.
Hey, you got the Five Below toys. I'm going to take the rest of these and return them and get some store credit and buy something for Daddy.
But no, that's kind of where the burnout. Go ahead.
Even in a homeschool household or anything, like there's so many different kinds of burnout, and it can be the kids not being thankful for what they have, and you just put weeks, months, I've been working all year saving up money. Mm-hmm. I just dropped all this money on these things. I have been my wife was wrapping presents for nearly a month. Mm-hmm. So that she could stay ahead of it all, so she didn't have like a pileup of having to do it in one night. We spent tons of time, energy, money planning to get, all this stuff put together, and then it's just on to the next thing. We don't care.
Yeah.
There's that, and then there's of course all the other things that I think you deal with throughout the year. Cleaning. You tell them like you go out to eat, and my kids are standing on the bench, jumping up and down, playing drums on the backs of the seats. The people in the booth next to us are turning around, saying, "Could you contain them? Maybe." It's like I've told you 1,000 times, sit down. Why are you standing up?
Right.
That's parental burnout. Is repeating yourself over and over, dealing with ungrateful gremlins. Mm-hmm. It's everything you can imagine. They're never going to listen.
I feel like kind of prepping for this show, the very little prep that I did do. I kind of felt guilty because we spend a fair amount of time on this particular podcast. We like to have fun. We like to make fun, but we've certainly done some episodes about parents that do dumb things, we'll just leave it at do dumb things. But thinking in that same vein is a lot of times I think when we see parents doing dumb things in public with their kids, or like you're looking at somebody else's kid and you're like, would you just please contain their kid? They might just be at the freaking end of it, man. Like,
oh yeah,
it's been all day. It's been all week. Everybody knows if you have toddlers, they'll just get into this.
They wear you down.
Oh my gosh, they don't stop. The perseverance of a toddler that wants to destroy your day is unlike any other being in the universe. It's incredible. And it's just like I said, we make fun of parents doing silly things or not getting full control of their kid. But it's like, man, if you're a parent of 1 or 5 kids at almost any age, like you've all been at that point where it's just like, you know what? I know they're being annoying, and I just can't do it anymore. Like, because if I react, I'm going to react in a very illegal way,
like in a bad way.
You just have to walk away.
It's definitely better to walk away, than it is to overreact.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna touch real quick, and that's where I don't understand it, but I feel very badly sometimes for single parents, because it's like you don't have somebody to pass the ball to when you're burned out when you're a single parent, I assume, or at least all the time. At least in our relationship, me and my wife, it's like if you see burnout in the other person, you can just
Mm-hmm.
You either look at them and go, hey, go take a nap. I got this. Or vice versa. Hey, I need a break. But go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I think having a partner is huge. Obviously, not everyone has that ability. I would say one thing that works for us, and one thing that we've actually seen kind of both sides of the equation, switching really as you get them into school, you start to see this. I think it became that much more apparent when we started homeschooling them. The first thing I would say is create a routine for the day, and a routine for the week, and a routine for the month, and having that routine, and being able to say, okay, it's this time. What do we do at this time? We start school. Okay, and if you start school every day and you have that routine, it's a lot. They know what's coming, and when you say, all right, it's time for school, they know what that means. There's a routine. We have to follow the routine. Kids thrive under routines. And that doesn't mean you have to plan every second of everything. You could have an hour of unstructured play, but it's scheduled. From 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we have, recess. We'll go out in the driveway. We'll go to a playground. You can have that play. You can have that. Go do whatever you want. Go jump on the trampoline and swimming and play and riding your bike. And it's whatever you want. It's unstructured, but it's within the schedule, which is a routine that we do every day. And it took them a little bit of time when we first started homeschooling. It took a couple of weeks, and there was a lot of resistance, and there was a lot of kicking and fighting and screaming and crying, and I don't want to do it, and temper tantrums. But you stay diligent, and you stay hard on that routine, and you keep driving that home, and then it becomes second nature. And now it's routine. And so part of us actually doing some classes over the break was to maintain some of that routine. We can see when we stopped the school and we allowed them to play longer than they normally do, or watch their iPads, or now we're running errands and we're doing this and we're doing that, and we've broken our routine. Now they start to act out, and they start to act different, and they start to yell at each other, and they're egging each other on, and they're getting on our nerves, and they're getting on each other's nerves, and they're cranky. And well, what changed? Wait, the routine changed.
Right.
We're no longer following that routine that they're used for. That structured day, A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They know what's coming, and all of a sudden that's gone, and they don't know how to react. So having a routine that you follow like clockwork every day, 7 o'clock we're going to do this, 8 o'clock we're going to do this, 9 o'clock we're going to do this, 10 o'clock we're going to do this. Every day we're going to follow that routine. And look, schools do that too. That's exactly what school is.
Yeah.
Every grade I was ever in, kindergarten all the way through 12th, I had a schedule. Even in kindergarten, we had a structure for how the day went.
It's funny because how many times I remember my parents asking me this. I now ask my kids this. The phrase, "Do you act like this at school?" The answer is usually no.
Yeah.
It probably has a lot to do with what you're talking about. No, because there's a set routine. And when the kid knows between this hour and this hour, this is what we're doing, so I might as well not ask to do something else because I know this is what it is. Yep. And then I know when we're getting to what I want to do. I know what time that is. I know what time gym class is. I don't need to ask. It's on the way.
We're going to have gym. You know it's coming.
Right.
That's in the afternoons. It's after nap, or that's
right.
after lunch, or that's,
right.
They know it. Thank you so much for listening and watching the Common Dad podcast. We're so thankful for all our dedicated listeners, and we've heard your requests loud and clear. We'd like to introduce you to our new line of Common Dad merch. Available in the link below, you'll be able to find shirts, hoodies, hats, and even travel mugs. If there's something else we missed that you want, drop a comment below and we'll get to work.
So this next one, we talked about a little bit. I can't remember if it was last episode, a couple episodes ago, whatever. We talked about screen time, and this is a good one. especially, well, for a couple of reasons. For the first very obvious reason is if you need 10 minutes, a half hour, whatever, an hour, give them the iPad.
Especially speaking about burnout.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's
you're about to lose your cool and scream at them in public,
yeah,
give them the iPad and put a set of headphones on them and tell them to keep their mouths shut. And
is it a Band-Aid?
Now you have 10 minutes.
Sure, it's a Band-Aid, but sometimes you need the Band-Aid. Like, it's okay. Like,
it's the lesser evil.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this last time when we talked about work burnout, kind of like the guilt that parents can feel when you get burnt out. Like, you just, because it feels like giving up sometimes when you just can't do it anymore and you're like, whatever, just take the freaking iPad and shut up. It feels like I've thrown in the towel, they've won the battle. I feel that way sometimes, but it's when you really look at the big picture, it's silly to think that, you know, I'm going to mentally win every battle with, even though it's a 5-year-old, like, they don't have anything else to do but argue with you. Okay, so they're just gonna keep on
and they're
doing
curious.
It. Yeah,
so, I mean, they're
so
gonna push and they're gonna prod and they're gonna test their boundaries and they're gonna ask questions for what they don't know. And
it's what they do. It's their whole existence right now. It's what they want to see if I can get this thing I want, and let's see how far I can push it.
I want it. Why can't I have it?
And who knows? Maybe they know that the iPad is the alternative, and maybe that's a crutch. Then so be it. If you need 10 minutes or an hour or however long you need as a parent, the iPad or the screen time or the phone is such a good alternative.
Well, I don't know about however much time you need, but it's certainly a
reasonable.
You need to know your kids and you need to understand when things are starting to skew off in a bad direction. And
yes.
And if you have a meeting and you have okay, use the iPad. It's a tool. But I would say that's a tool in your tool bag. You have a tool bag. You have a number of different things you can use. You can try that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not working, you can shift to something else. If you're trying something else and it's not working, maybe you try the iPad for a few minutes. You have to have a plethora of tools. And that's where I would say another thing that we have found when they start to act out, we plan it sometimes it's a little bit more sporadic, but it's getting them active. Sometimes it's a little bit more casual with just going to a playground and they can play. And, you know, my wife and I, there's a path around the playground. We'll walk some laps and talk while they're running around playground to playground, you know, doing whatever they want.
Sure.
And we just keep running them and running them and running them. And by the time they're done, we try to do it as long as we can, to the point where like they're almost coming to us saying we're ready to go.
Yes, that's when you know they're cooked. When they're like, "Can we go home?"
Done, and you're not going to get any resistance. They're going to be Play-Doh. You could give them the iPad and they'll be quiet for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
You can give them a bunch of blocks and they'll, you know, you give them a picture book. They're tuckered out. They don't have the energy to fight you anymore.
Yes.
So that's when things are going well.
They might even ask to go to bed.
When things get really bad, we may or may not have gone a little bit of drill sergeant on them.
Hey.
In that we've actually taken Alex. I don't know that we've done it as much with Max. We've done it maybe a few things and not to the degree.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had Alex run suicides on a soccer field.
I've done that once.
We've had him run up and down the bleachers, and he'll be begging for mercy. I'm so tired. It's great. Do another lap.
But they think it's fun for a while.
Can I have a drink? They'll take a drink. Great. Do another lap.
Yeah.
Run the field. Go do a lap around the field. Great. Now run up and down the bleachers. Here, do 10 push-ups. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they think it's funny at the beginning.
Yeah, and then they're
but you can tire them out really quickly, and it's a great punishment.
Yeah. But it's super productive for many reasons. Like, there's really no downside to that, and it
completely tires them out. And yeah, they're not willing to fight after something like that. It's not worth it.
That's probably, like, if I had to pick like one, like, hey, how do you avoid burnout? Like, That completely, because for two reasons. Obviously, they're playing, they're getting tired. But usually when they're at a park playing, they're doing one thing also. They're leaving you alone. What
No, I
I
will
like
say-
to do is there's a path around the park we go to, and I'll just put the headphones in, or one of them in, so I can keep an ear and an eye on them. And I'll just walk around the path and listen to I just listen to the Mom and Dad podcast on repeat because it's incredible.
Sure.
Just knowledge pouring in one ear, pouring out the other. Just, my cup overfloweth. But so I'll do that. But it's like, okay, so not only are they getting an hour or 2 hours of just pure playtime, burning all the energy,
You're
I'm
walking,
recharging
too.
my batteries too.
The one note I would have, and I'm sure our regular listeners are aware of this, but you and I both have all boys.
Correct.
I don't know how it would go having a daughter run suicides. Maybe we'll need somebody with a daughter to comment in the comment section. Let us know if they've ever had their daughter run suicides
Sure.
and run up and down the bleachers. I'm a little curious if that's, but I also don't feel like girls are going to be the same problem. that
Real
boys
quick,
are.
for ultra clarification, a suicide is a particular workout that you would run and touch one line and then go back to the other
Good
line and then
clarification.
touch the middle line. It's a workout. They probably don't call it suicides anymore.
Am
but
I
that's-
aging myself with that then?
I don't know. But just to be
What's
super
I think
clear there.
I think I've heard them called like ladders or something too. Or,
I've heard them called ladders before, but
Yeah, it's suicides.
that's what that is.
It was
That's-
running suicides. I had to do it growing up. My kids have to do it. They know what it's called.
Yes. Yeah, active. That's the number one thing, and it's easier for you. You're in South Florida, so you can do that year round. I can do it. I'm in Georgia. I can do it most of the time. But in the winter season, if you're in up north or whatever, hopefully you're set up for the snow. But oftentimes, it's not snow; it's just mud. So you kind of have to get more creative inside.
Oh no, you don't.
But you
I
can.
grew up in Ohio. Here, maybe I'm really aging myself, but I'm
Go
not
ahead.
that old. I remember I was shoveling the driveway and
Oh,
chopping
yeah.
firewood in the
No,
winter.
I'm saying if there's, you were the firewood man. You could just get that pure Rocky workout. Just go outside and just,
And my parents had. I mean,
yeah.
look, I moved when I was probably 12 or 13, and I still have memories of chopping firewood
That's the best.
on Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
Out behind my house. So it's like, you don't even have to be that old. Some people
No.
probably think safety is a concern. A kid swinging an axe around, but yeah,
It's fine, probably.
survival of the fittest, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's plenty for you to do. Kids love the snow. I loved going out in the snow. I thought it was fun shoveling the driveway until you slip on the ice and crack your tailbone.
It's fine.
But shoveling the driveway, playing, building a snowman, there's still so much you can do outside. And, at least we had a yard growing up that we could do a lot of that in. And, growing up when we did, my parents didn't really care if I stayed in the yard. I could play in the whole neighborhood. I could play down the street. They didn't really care. So
Yeah.
suppose it depends on your area. If you're in a city, you're probably not going to do that. You also
little
probably don't have to
trickier.
shovel. Probably also don't have to shovel your driveway if you live in an apartment in downtown Cincinnati.
Probably not. Almost done here. The main thing I wanted to touch on it, and I kind of already did. If you are a veteran parent, almost said a senior parent, but that's not the word. If you are a brand new parent, you already know this. If you have a newborn, burnout is 100% inevitable. It absolutely will happen. You're going to look at your kids one day and you're going to go, in your head, I hope, you're just going to go, shut the hell up. Just shut up. Like, please stop. Please leave me alone. You'll hide in the bathroom to get away from them, okay? And let me tell you, you can do it when they can't open the doors, but when they can, that time's gone.
Lock the door.
Well, they'll figure that out too. Don't feel guilty because every single parent on the face of this earth has experienced it. They will in the future. It's just a thing that will happen. It's just how you deal with it. But there's no reason to feel guilty about it, and there's no reason to not ask for help. And I keep going back to it, but if you're a single parent, it's way more difficult to ask for help because you may not have somebody directly in the house to go to. But Call, hey,
Yeah,
can you watch the kids tonight? Like, just
one thing we've found though, like being homeschooled, the first thing my wife did was start searching.
yeah,
And what did she find? Facebook group after Facebook group
Yes.
after Facebook group of other homeschool parents who plan field trips to parks and to museums and other things.
yeah,
And she went to one or two of them, and they, the first one she discovered, there's little cliques. Just
Sure.
like, you had in high school and the Mean Girls. And
high school never ends, by the way. It's just
there were these little cliques of moms and parents, but you went to another one and you went to another one and
Yeah.
you went to another one, and then you kind of found your place, and all of a sudden you're friends with the other mom, and it's like we've been homeschooling for a half of a year, and we've already had play dates with our kids going to Dave and Buster's with other homeschool kids. And they're running around playing, and
Yes.
the other parents and us are just walking around drinking beers, watching the kids spend all of our
Yes.
money.
right.
So go out there. Don't be afraid to ask for help, but you have to be a little bit proactive too.
Sure.
Surround yourself with people who are in similar circumstances or at least similar life stages.
Mhm.
There's Facebook groups, there's events, there's parties, there's things. Go out, make some friends. Don't be a loner. Don't feel like you have to do it by yourself.
Right.
Go become friends with other parents, single parents, it doesn't matter. And then get your kids together. And
Yes.
now all of a sudden, you could do a little field trip thing with other parents, and you all go to a museum, and maybe somebody else is willing to watch the kids while you all go to a bar and get a drink, and then you guys rotate, or something. Like,
There's a lot
there's
of
ways around it, but you have to be proactive and do it.
You have
If
to
you
find
think
it.
other people are going to reach out to you and say, hey, can I watch your kids?
No.
I'm sorry, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, maybe the grandparents, like maybe, but
But you have to
probably.
live near them, and not everybody lives near family.
that's true.
So, man, you got to be proactive. Go out there, find people that are in a similar life stage that have kids around the same age, and don't make excuses that there isn't anybody, because it's not true. There is.
Right.
You just got to find them. There's
There's
groups
help
on
out there.
Facebook. Go find groups on Facebook, and then go be a part of the group.
Yes,
And that means you may have to watch all of the kids at one point,
but it's way easier than just watching your kids. It's
but the kids will play, and the kids will distract each other. So
yes, it's even. My wife has worked in the church in the past, and I think a lot of churches do this. If you're a churchgoer, cool. If not, then don't do this. But a lot of churches will do like a date night. Well, where on a Tuesday night from 6 to 9,
drop the kids off.
you drop the kids off, and it's not a church service. They'll put a movie on, popcorn, whatever. They're watching the kids. They're in a safe environment. And you go do what, and there's not, at least where we were at, it wasn't like, okay, now parent who dropped the kid off, you come to this side of the church and we talk to you about it. No, you just leave. And you just promise to come back in 3 hours and pick your kid up. Whether that's go home and take a nap or do other things with a partner. I don't know. I don't know what that is, but it's just a free.
No, most of the time it's to encourage a date night.
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
parents.
They call it a date night. But I know a lot of couples that would just go home and, man, we just need 3 hours, like just to breathe for a second. And it's like,
Is that why you have 3 kids now?
that's why we have 3 kids. No, she was hosting. She was there. So, and a lot of it's like, oh, what's 3 hours in a whole week? Well, it can be huge.
That could be
actually.
your refresher.
You need it. You need a refresh. I don't know how people do it, and I don't know if it's handled very well. But if I had to watch my kids for every hour I was not working and they were not sleeping, I'd go crazy. Like, I need breaks in there, and I think most parents do. I don't think that's an abnormal thing. So yeah, there's a lot of ways around it, but I think you hit the nail on the head. Is you have to be active in finding and asking, not necessarily asking for help. That's probably not the right word there, but seeking out, activities and sorting that out. But there's no reason to feel guilty about it. Little kids are freaking annoying sometimes, and that's perfectly okay.
No, they're gremlins.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're a lot of things. We love them to death. They are the reason we do
sometimes.
most things we do. But sometimes we don't. And it is what it is. Sometimes we don't. But
We did
anyway,
a podcast called "I Love You, I Don't Like You," or "I Love You, but I Don't Like You."
Absolutely.
Something along those lines.
yes, absolutely. If you're coming to the Common Dad podcast to get lovey-dovey answers, and well, you've joined the wrong one.
It's not podcast.
it's
It's
not
not
gonna be
parenting.
But if you have other tips or comments or just ways, to help out parents who might be experiencing burnout, please leave a comment. Not for us, for other, well, maybe for us, but if you have some things that we didn't hear about,
We could use a few tips.
we could absolutely use a lot of tips. But you may be helping out somebody else that you don't even know either. So thank you guys so much for listening to the Common Dad podcast. The best way to support the program: like, follow, subscribe. We're on Instagram at The Common Dad. We are, of course, on Facebook at The Common Dad, and on YouTube at The Common Dad Podcast. The key word podcast at the end there, because you can watch our beautiful faces while you listen. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next time.